In today's video, we're diving into three fascinating Lincoln pennies that collectors are constantly searching for: the 1970, 1977, and 1973 Lincoln 1-cent coins. At first glance, these coins may look like everyday pocket change, but certain mint marks, varieties, and high-grade examples can make them surprisingly valuable in the coin collecting world. From interesting history to potential market values, these pennies have stories that every collector and treasure hunter should know. So before you spend your next penny, make sure to watch this video all the way through. One of these coins might already be hiding in your collection or even in your pocket change. Let's take a closer look at these top 3 Lincoln pennies and discover what makes them special. 1970 Lincoln Penny 1-cent coin. The year 1970 marked the dawn of a new decade in America. The nation was navigating social change, economic pressure, and the winding down of the 1960s. In coinage, the United States Mint was still recovering from the massive coin shortage of the mid-1960s. Production numbers had soared in response to public demand, and quality control sometimes took a backseat to speed. Yet within that high-output environment, certain Lincoln cents from 1970 emerged as prized collectibles. The 1970 Lincoln cent continued the long-running design introduced in 1909. The obverse still featured the right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's profile appears calm and dignified, with the inscriptions "I in God we trust" arching above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date to the right. Depending on mint location, a small mint mark appears beneath the date. The reverse in 1970 displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 by Frank Gasparo. The memorial stands centered, with United States of America and E pluribus unum above, and 1 cent boldly inscribed below. If you look closely at well-struck examples, you can even see the tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a detail that has fascinated collectors for decades. In 1970, Lincoln cents were struck at 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 2.8 billion cents, but these carried no mint mark, as was standard practice at the time. The Denver Mint struck more than 2.8 billion as well, marked with a small d. San Francisco struck proof coins for collectors and also produced a limited number of circulation strikes. At first glance, those mintage numbers suggest common coins. In circulated grades, they are indeed abundant. But the story of the 1970 Lincoln cent becomes far more interesting when we look at varieties and condition rarity. One of the most famous varieties is the 1970 small date and large date distinction. On coins struck in San Francisco, 2 different date styles were used. The small date variety shows a more delicate appearance, with the 7 in the date level with the other digits, and the word Liberty appearing slightly weaker due to die preparation. The large date variety has a bolder appearance, with the 7 slightly lower and the numerals thicker overall. For proof coins, the 1970 small date is especially desirable. While the San Francisco Mint produced over 2.6 million proof cents that year, only a fraction are the small date variety. In deep cameo condition with strong contrast between frosted devices and mirrored fields, these coins can command hundreds of dollars. Ultra-high-grade certified examples graded PR 69 deep cameo often bring impressive premiums. The Business Strike 1970 small date is even more intriguing. With a mintage estimated at around 690 million for all 1970 circulation strikes, the small date makes up only part of that total. In circulated grades, values remain modest, typically a few dollars. But in uncirculated red condition, prices can escalate quickly. Coins graded MS65 red may sell for $40 to $75, while MS67 red examples can command thousands due to extreme scarcity at that grade level. Condition rarity is where the 1970 cent truly shines. Because billions were produced and heavily circulated, pristine survivors are far less common than raw mintage numbers suggest. Collectors assembling registry sets compete fiercely for top population coins, driving auction prices into 4-figure territory for the finest examples. Beyond date-size varieties, 1970 cents also featured double die errors. The 1970 double die obverse is particularly noteworthy, with visible doubling on inscriptions such as Liberty and I in God we trust. While not as dramatic as the legendary 1955 or 1969 double dies, these varieties still attract strong collector demand. Values vary widely depending on clarity of doubling and condition, ranging from under $100 in lower grades to several $1,000s in high-grade uncirculated condition. Another factor adding to the 1970 cents appeal is its composition. These coins were struck in the traditional bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing 3.11 grams. This was before the major composition change of 1982, making pre-1982 cents attractive to collectors who appreciate the heft and rich color of classic copper coinage. Color designation plays a crucial role in valuation. Brown examples with significant toning bring the lowest premiums. Red-brown coins fall in the middle range. Fully red coins with original mint luster are the most desirable, especially when free of carbon spots and contact marks. Copper is highly reactive, so finding a flawless red coin more than 50 years after minting is increasingly difficult. Proof 1970 cents also present opportunities for collectors. Cameo and deep cameo examples with strong contrast are especially prized. While common proof cents from this era are generally affordable, flawless examples graded PR70 are extremely rare and can sell for thousands. Overall, the 1970 Lincoln cent stands as a perfect example of how a seemingly common coin can harbor hidden rarities. Between small date and large date varieties, double dies, high-grade scarcity, and proof distinctions, this coin offers layers of collecting depth. For those willing to study details and pursue top-quality examples, the rewards can be significant. 1977 Lincoln penny 1-cent coin. Fast forward to 1977, and America was experiencing a different chapter in its story. The nation had emerged from the bicentennial celebrations of 1976, and economic challenges such as inflation were shaping everyday life. The Lincoln cent continued to flow steadily from the presses of the Philadelphia and Denver mints, maintaining its familiar design and composition. The 1977 Lincoln cent features the same enduring obverse portrait by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln's image remains sharply defined on well-struck coins, with hair detail above the ear and strong contours in the bow tie. In God We Trust arches above, Liberty appears to the left, and the date sits prominently to the right, with a small D mint mark below the date on Denver issues. The reverse continues to display the Lincoln Memorial by Frank Gasparo. The memorial's columns and steps are clearly visible on high-quality strikes, and sharp examples reveal impressive architectural depth. The tiny seated Lincoln statue inside the memorial remains one of the most fascinating micro-details in American coinage. Mintage numbers for 1977 were enormous. Philadelphia struck over 4.4 billion cents, while Denver produced more than 4.1 billion. With combined production exceeding 8.5 billion coins, the 1977 cent is undeniably common in circulated grades. Most examples found in pocket change are worth face value. However, as with the 1970 cent, condition is everything. High-grade 1977 cents are far scarcer than raw production numbers imply. The sheer volume of coins produced led to hurried striking and heavy bag marks. Finding a sharply struck, fully red coin with minimal abrasions is challenging. As a result, coins graded MS66 red or higher are considerably more valuable than lower-grade examples. In MS65 red, a 1977 cent may bring $10 to $20. But in MS67 red, values can jump into the hundreds. Top population MS67 Plus or MS68 examples have sold for several $1,000s at auction due to registry-set competition and extreme scarcity at those levels. Error coins from 1977 add another layer of excitement. While there are no major double die varieties as famous as earlier decades, minor double dies, off-center strikes, clip planchets, and broad strikes exist and are actively collected. Off-center errors showing 10 to 50% misalignment with full dates visible can bring $50 to several $100s depending on eye appeal. One particularly interesting area involves strike quality. Some 1977 cents show weak strikes due to worn dies, especially on Lincoln's hair and the memorial steps. Collectors seeking sharply struck examples pay premiums for coins with strong detail and vibrant luster. Like the 1970 cent, the 1977 issue is composed of 95% copper, making it part of the traditional bronze era before the copper-plated zinc transition of the early 1980s. This gives the coin a rich, warm tone when preserved properly. Fully red examples with blazing luster are visually striking and highly collectible. Proof versions of the 1977 Lincoln cent were struck in San Francisco, with a mintage of approximately 3.25 million. These proof coins typically feature mirror-like fields and frosted devices. Deep cameo examples are especially popular, and while most proofs remain affordable, flawless PR70 deep cameo coins can command strong premiums in the collector market. Collector interest in the 1977 Lincoln cent often centers on building complete high-grade memorial cent sets. Because so many examples are common in lower grades, assembling a registry-quality set with top-grade coins becomes a significant challenge. This competitive aspect keeps demand steady for the finest certified pieces. The 1977 Lincoln cent may not have the dramatic headline-grabbing double dies of earlier decades, but it represents a classic case of modern condition rarity. It teaches collectors that mintage numbers alone do not determine value. Preservation, strike quality, luster, and eye appeal ultimately define market demand. Together, the 1970 and 1977 Lincoln cents remind us that even in eras of massive coin production, hidden gems exist. Whether it's a subtle small-date variety, a scarce double die, or a pristine high-grade survivor, these pennies offer opportunities for discovery and appreciation. For collectors who study details, pursue quality, and understand the nuances of grading, these seemingly ordinary coins can become extraordinary additions to a numismatic collection. And that is the true beauty of coin collecting, the realization that history, artistry, and value can all be found in the smallest denomination in your pocket. 1973 S. Lincoln Penny. The 1973 S. Lincoln Penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint during a period of transition in United States coin production. By 1973, America had already moved away from silver in circulating coinage, and copper prices were beginning to rise sharply. The Lincoln cent at this time was still composed primarily of copper, specifically 95% copper and 5% zinc, with a weight of 3.11 grams. That composition would dramatically change less than a decade later in 1982 when copper was largely replaced with zinc. So the 1973 S. Lincoln cent represents one of the final full copper-era issues before economic pressures forced a major metallic shift. The obverse of the coin features the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Brenner's initials, VB, appear at the base of Lincoln's shoulder, though subtly integrated after early controversy in 1909 regarding their prominence. The design had by 1973 become one of the longest-running portrait designs in U.S. coinage history, symbolizing continuity and national heritage. On the reverse, the coin still carried the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Designed by Frank Gasparo, the Lincoln Memorial reverse was groundbreaking because it depicted a real American monument in detailed architectural form. If you look closely at well-struck examples, you can even see the tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a remarkable feat for such a small coin. The inscriptions include United States of America at the top, 1 cent at the bottom, and E pluribus unum above the memorial. The S. Mint mark below the date indicates it was struck in San Francisco. But here's where things become interesting. By 1973, the San Francisco Mint had largely transitioned away from producing circulation strike cents. Instead, it focused on proof coinage, specially struck coins intended for collectors, produced using polished dies and planchets to create mirror-like surfaces and frosted design elements. In 1973, the San Francisco Mint produced proof Lincoln cents rather than standard circulation strikes. The total mintage for the 1973 S-proof Lincoln cent was approximately 2,760,339 coins. While that number may sound high, in the world of proof coinage it represents a moderate mintage, especially compared to modern proof mintages that often exceed 3 million or more. Proof coins differ significantly from circulation strikes. They are struck multiple times under higher pressure to bring out sharper details. The fields, the flat areas of the coin, are deeply mirrored, while the devices, Lincoln's portrait and the memorial, often display a frosted texture. The finest examples exhibit what collectors call deep cameo or ultra cameo contrast, where the frosted portrait sharply contrasts against black mirror fields. Now, while millions were produced, not all survived in perfect condition. Proof coins are delicate. Even the slightest hairline scratch, improper storage, or fingerprint can reduce their grade significantly. This is where condition becomes everything. In the coin grading world, proof coins are graded on a scale from PR60 to PR70. A PR70 coin is considered flawless under 5x magnification, with no visible imperfections. Achieving PR70 is incredibly difficult, especially for coins from the early 1970s, when quality control was good but not flawless. Most 1973 proof cents fall in the PR65 to PR68 range. In these grades, they are relatively affordable, typically selling for between $2 and $10 depending on eye appeal. But once you move into PR69 deep cameo territory, values begin to climb. PR69 examples can sell for $20 to $50, sometimes higher depending on certification and market demand. But the real excitement comes with PR70 deep cameo examples. These are extraordinarily rare. Only a small fraction of submitted coins achieve a perfect grade from major grading services. When they do, prices can skyrocket. PR70 deep cameo 1973 Lincoln cents have sold for hundreds of dollars, sometimes exceeding $500 at auction, depending on market timing and registry competition among collectors. Registry sets play a significant role in driving up the value of top-graded proof coins. Collectors competing for the highest rank, Lincoln cent, proof sets will pay strong premiums for the finest graded examples. Even a 1-point difference on the grading scale can mean a price jump of several hundred%. Beyond grade rarity, error coins create another layer of excitement. While proof coins are generally well-controlled, mistakes do happen. One of the most sought-after varieties for the 1973 Lincoln cent involves doubled dies. A doubled die occurs during the die manufacturing process when the hub imprints the design onto the die more than once at slightly different angles. This results in visible doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. Some 1973 proof cents exhibit minor doubling, particularly noticeable in inscriptions like Liberty or I in God We Trust. Strong double die examples are rare and command premiums. Depending on the clarity and dramatic nature of the doubling, such coins can sell for $50 to several $100s. Another collectible variety involves cameo contrast. Not all proofs display strong cameo frosting. Coins with deep, thick frost on Lincoln's portrait and bold mirror fields are far more desirable. Coins lacking cameo contrast are less valuable, even if technically high grade. Occasionally, collectors search for transitional errors. Although the composition remained copper in 1973, error hunters have long speculated about off-metal strikes. If a 1973 proof cent were ever discovered struck on an incorrect planchet, such as a dime or foreign blank, its value would likely reach into the thousands. While no major confirmed transitional composition error is widely recognized for this date, the possibility fuels ongoing interest. Another factor that drives collector demand is the broader historical setting of 1973. America was facing inflation, the oil crisis was looming, and economic pressures were mounting. Copper prices were rising, setting the stage for the metallic change in 1982. The Lincoln cent was increasingly expensive to produce relative to its face value. So in many ways, the 1973 Lincoln cent belongs to the closing chapter of traditional bronze U.S. cents. Collectors of the Lincoln Memorial Series, which ran from 1959 to 2008, often pursue complete proof runs. The 1973 is a necessary component of that set. While not the rarest date in the series, it occupies a critical position in early 1970s proof production. When evaluating a 1973 Lincoln penny for potential value, collectors focus on several key factors. First, overall preservation. Are there hairlines in the mirrored fields? Any haze or spotting? Copper-proof coins are notorious for developing spots over time due to environmental exposure. Even sealed proof sets from the mint can develop toning or haze if stored improperly. Second, cameo contrast. Strong frost and clean mirrors significantly increase desirability. Third, certification. Coins graded by major services such as PCGS or NGC typically command higher prices due to market trust and authentication. Fourth, eye appeal. Even within the same numerical grade, one coin may be more visually stunning than another. Market trends also fluctuate. During periods of heightened interest in registry competition, top-grade proof coins can experience price spikes. Conversely, during slower markets, values may stabilize. In circulated form, it's important to clarify that regular 1973 cents without the S mint mark were struck in Philadelphia and Denver for circulation, with mintages exceeding hundreds of millions. Those coins generally carry minimal premium unless in exceptional uncirculated condition. But the 1973 S proof is distinct because it was never intended for circulation. Interestingly, some proof coins do enter circulation after being broken out of proof sets. These pieces often show wear and lose much of their value. A circulated 1973 S proof cent may only be worth a small premium over face value unless it retains strong detail. The copper content itself gives the coin intrinsic metal value slightly above 1 cent, depending on copper prices. However, it remains illegal to melt cents for their metal content under current U.S. regulations. Collector interest in the 1973 S Lincoln cent remains steady rather than explosive. It is not a key date rarity like the 1909 SVDB or the 1914 D. Instead, its appeal lies in condition rarity, cameo quality, and the broader narrative of American minting history. For new collectors, it represents an accessible entry point into proof coin collecting. For advanced collectors, it offers the challenge of finding flawless, deep cameo specimens. One fascinating aspect is toning. While many collectors prefer brilliant red copper surfaces, others appreciate naturally toned proof cents that display hues of violet, blue, or gold. Attractive rainbow toning can add premium value if the toning is even and aesthetically pleasing. Storage is critical for preserving value. Copper reacts easily with moisture and contaminants. Proof coins should be kept in inert holders, away from humidity and temperature fluctuations. Auction records over the years show that while average examples remain affordable, elite-grade coins consistently outperform expectations. A top population PR70 deep cameo example can command hundreds of dollars due to scarcity at that perfection level. The 1973 S Lincoln penny ultimately teaches an important lesson in numismatics. Value does not always come from age alone. It comes from rarity, condition, demand, and story. A coin struck just over 50 years ago can become highly valuable if preserved perfectly and sought after by collectors. So when examining a 1973 S Lincoln cent, look beyond the 1 cent denomination. Study the mirrors. Inspect the frost. Check for doubling. Consider certification. Because within this small copper disc lies a snapshot of American economic history, minting technology, and collector passion. The 1973 S Lincoln penny may not be the rarest cent ever produced, but in the highest grades, with strong cameo contrast and pristine preservation, it transforms from pocket change into a prized collectible, a reminder that even the smallest coins can hold extraordinary potential.